Revealing the miraculous wisdom of Ecclesiastes, 3 divine secrets for a supernatural life unveiled. In the quaint village of Elmwood, whispers of divine fate clung to the dusty corners of the chapel like morning mist. David, a humble deacon, felt the weight of heaven's silence as he knelt beside his ailing wife, Sarah. The sickness that had gripped her was an unseen thief, stealing time from their once vibrant lives. It was here, amidst flickering candles and the scent of aged wood, that the first secret of Ecclesiastes began to unravel. To everything, there is a season. David's heart was heavy, torn between hope and despair. As the soft glow of evening settled, a sudden chill swept through the chapel, causing the old wooden beams to creak with age and reverence. The villagers, gathered within, were conflicted. Many clung to their faith, lifting fervent prayers to St. Jude, while others murmured in doubt, questioning the power of prayer in the face of such relentless suffering. David watched as the flickering candlelight mirrored the conflicting flames of faith and skepticism bustling around him. On the cusp of darkness, David felt an otherworldly warmth encircle him, almost as if heaven's embrace was reaching through the veil of despair. Tears filled his eyes as he sensed a divine presence, an angelic whisper carried on the winds of his heart. Was it madness, or was the sacred announcing itself? The community's prayers surged as one, a symphonic plea that transcended despair. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. David returned home that night, the storm outside raging like a tempest of unanswered questions. The heaviness in his spirit was palpable, yet something unfaltering warmed the depths of his soul. Kneeling, he cried out for understanding, seeking explanation for Sarah's suffering, wondering why a loving God would allow such pain. In that moment of vulnerability, David encountered a stirring revelation: in everything, there is a season. It filled him with both comfort and deep dread. Did this mean they had to endure this season of suffering? The storm howled like a beast outside, yet in David's heart, a flicker of hope ignited. His next vision took him to the very borders of heaven, where light intertwined with shadows, and he found himself standing before a glorious figure. "Have faith, David," a voice reverberated, echoing with eternal truths. The sensation of eternity washed over him, creating a longing that was both beautiful and terrifying. When he shared his experience with Sarah, lying frail yet shining with the ethereal light of hope, a spark ignited between them. Together, with trembling hearts, they prayed. The community rallied, steadfast in their belief that miracles could rise from ashes. The tension, the hope, the uncertainty intertwined beautifully, much like the intricate patterns of stained glass that adorned their beloved chapel. As the gripping stories of healing buzzed around the village, would God's timing reveal a miracle in this winding journey, or was their lesson to find grace amid suffering? The winds howled outside, a beautiful clash of nature and spirit, as anticipation loomed. The stage was set for divine intervention or a poignant lesson, trapped in the sacred balance of hope and despair. The night deepened around Elmwood, as the storm retreated, leaving a stillness that cloaked the village in a fragile cloak of hope. David sat beside Sarah, the candlelight flickering as a gentle reminder of the divine warmth that filled their hearts. The world outside felt distant, and the only sound was the rhythmic beating of their hearts intertwined, a song of faith building in the silence. Days turned into weeks, each dawn revealing the same painful reality. Yet in the simplicity of their routines, through prayer and shared dreams, something profound began to unfold. With each whispered plea, every touch of David's hand on Sarah's frail body, their love acted as a rare currency, binding them closer to the heart of God and the community that surrounded them. It became a dance of devotion, a weaving of prayers that echoed through the very walls of the chapel, sending ripples of faith into the air. One breezy afternoon, while the sunlight spilled into their quaint home, a visitor arrived: Eleanor, the village healer. Known for her uncanny ability to soothe pain and restore the weary, she walked in with an air of gentle authority. David felt a flicker of doubt, but he chose faith instead. Eleanor knelt before Sarah, and closeness formed a sacred bond as she touched her hand lightly. In that moment, a hush blanketed the room while all thoughts faded into the backdrop. "Sarah," Eleanor began softly, her voice as soothing as a lullaby. "Healing does not only reside in the body, but also in the spirit. Your battle carries meaning, a purpose yet to unfold." David's heart fluttered at her words. Could it be that even in a season of suffering, there lay a revelation bigger than their current understanding? Just then, Sarah opened her eyes, a glimmer of acknowledgement sparkled within them, igniting a warmth that laced through the room like the sweetest hymn. The community began to gather again, surrounding the deaconess home, candles in hand, prayers on lips. David felt the air thick with belief. Each person who entered carried their own struggles, drawing closer not merely for Sarah's healing but for the promise of hope itself. Together they painted a tapestry of faith, a visual manifestation of love lifting them into a sacred embrace. One evening, a heavy cloud hung over the horizon, reminiscent of the trials they were undergoing. David knelt beside Sarah, surrendering all his burning questions to the Lord. In his prayer, fingers trembling as they clutched at the fabric of faith, something unexpected happened. A vision danced in his mind, a simple but profound image of flowers breaking through hard soil. To embrace the beauty of a flower, one must see the struggle beneath. The voice returned, steady and calming. In that moment, the reality of their situation shifted. It wasn't merely about waiting for a miracle, it was within the hardship itself that strength could bloom. Encouraged by this revelation, David and Sarah began to share their journey with the villagers, recounting tales of hope, laughter, and the divine presence they encountered even in their darkest hour. Yet, as the moonlight spilled into their home, casting long shadows, David felt a stirring in his soul. What if this profound lesson wasn't merely for them but for every heart that had wandered into despair? The winds began to rustle, whispering secrets of an upcoming change, almost as if nature echoed his thoughts. But within this newfound journey of hope and community, questions lingered like autumn leaves in the brisk air. What would revelation demand of them next? Would they find the miracle they sought, or would they discover something far more liberating? As the night deepened, uncertainty danced on the edge of possibility, waiting with bated breath for the next chapter to unfold. The dawn broke over Elmwood, casting golden rays that pierced the remaining shadows of the night. David woke to the scent of fresh earth, invigorated by a renewed sense of purpose. He looked to Sarah, dreaming softly, unaware of the battles waging around them. Every morning felt like an awakening, a reminder that life, even amid suffering, held treasures yet to be uncovered. The villagers began to ebb and flow like a river of faith, bringing with them the simple joys and persistent prayers. In conversations laced with gentle laughter and quiet tears, stories began to surface, tales of those who had once walked the heavy path of despair, only to emerge resilient, as if forged in divine fire. Do you believe that God still performs miracles? One villager mused, her eyes hopeful yet uncertain. David heard her question, feeling the weight of it hang in the air. He considered the whispers of his own heart, wary of false expectations but fervent in the belief that God's presence could tilt the very fabric of their reality. If he can breathe life into dust, surely he can transform our sorrows, David replied, his tone steady, yet infused with the fervor of faith. As days blended into nights, David and Sarah welcomed more voices into their home, people touched by their story, sharing their burdens and seeking solace in the balm of community. They gathered each evening, their evenings transforming into a sacred circle of warmth. Prayer became their common language, echoing around them like an ancient hymn, binding their hearts together in a tapestry colored with shared faith. One twilight, David noticed the new moon hanging low in the sky. Its crescent shape evoked a memory of promises made and dreams whispered into the night. He felt compelled to share his own struggles. Sometimes, I wonder if faith is enough. Is it enough to keep hoping, waiting, when the silence weighs heavy? A hush enveloped the group, their breaths collectively held as they sensed the vulnerability in his words. And from amongst the twilight shadows, Eleanor's voice emerged, soothing and strong. Faith isn't about having all the answers, dear David. It's about trusting even when the path seems shrouded in darkness. Her words hung in the air like a light, breaking through David's doubts. He realized then that perhaps this season of uncertainty was an invitation, a call to deepen his trust not just for their personal journey, but for the collective heart of the village. In the following weeks, David and Sarah became conduits of strength, inspiring their village to envision a future woven with hope. Each story shared, from heartache to healing, became a stepping stone for deeper connections, people united by faith and purpose. One evening, as the stars blinked down like 1,000 watchful eyes, David glanced at Sarah, her delicate face illuminated by candlelight. A gentle warmth surged through him as he realized they had begun to flourish, much like those flowers amidst struggle. The love surrounding them was a reflection of God's promise that out of trials could emerge something beautiful beyond measure, and just as certainty began to cradle their hearts, a stranger arrived, a young woman with wearied eyes, searching and lost. Before she could speak, David felt an unsettling shift in the air, as though the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. Their moment of serenity seemed to teeter on the edge of divine intervention, casting ripples of mystery through the gathering. "Please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I've come seeking a miracle." What did this sudden plea mean for their journey? Would it stir fresh doubts or ignite renewed hope? As the night settled into sacred silence, the room pulsed with expectancy. Each heartbeat, every breath taken, seemed a prayer unto the heavens, waiting, longing, for God to reveal his hand once more. The tension in the air thickened like fog, swirling around each soul present. David felt his heartbeat echoing in his ears, mixing with the soft patter of Sarah's breath beside him. The stranger's arrival demanded their attention, her words weaving through the sacred space they had nurtured. David took a breath, filled with the hope and uncertainty that danced among them. "What is your name?" he asked softly, eager to bridge the gap between the lonely world outside and the warmth they had created. "My name is Mara," she replied, her voice a fragile thread. "I've traveled far, hoping to find something, anything. I was told this village holds the kind of faith that could change lives." It was as if she conjured the weight of the world with those words, each syllable a testament to her search. The villagers leaned in closer, their united gaze a mirror of compassion. David took a moment, gathering the collective energy as he felt an impression rising within him. Faith could be a wellspring of hope. "Tell us what burdens you, Mara. We are here to listen, and to pray." Mara's gaze fell to her hands, trembling fingers adorned with dirt and despair. "I lost everything, my family, my home, and the light of hope itself. Every corner I've turned has led me deeper into darkness. I came seeking a miracle because I no longer know how to believe." A wave of sympathy washed over the room, like currents of an unseen river touching the tender hearts gathered. David shared a glance with Sarah, her eyes shimmering with empathy as they both understood this journey of despair. "God," David said, feeling his breath steady with purpose, "is still performing miracles today. Maybe he sent you here for a reason, a moment of divine purpose. Miracles are not merely grand spectacles, they are woven into the fabric of our everyday struggles, waiting for belief to unwrap their mystery." Mara lifted her gaze, flooded with a flicker of hope. "But how? How can I believe again when the darkness feels so deep?" "Sometimes," Eleanor interjected gently, "the light can only be seen when we're willing to let go of our understanding. Just as the moon waxes and wanes, faith comes in cycles." What if this was the moment he chose to break through? The words resonated deeply, like a warm embrace around their weary spirits. David could feel a shift, the air thicker with possibility. The vulnerability shared was sacred ground, inviting divine movement. As whispers of encouragement filled the space, David invited them all into a circle. They joined hands, hearts intertwined, offering their prayers, unifying each individual request like a singular melody rising into the night sky. In that moment, the room felt alive, a sanctuary filled with hope. Each prayer became an offering. It was a promise that, together, they would bear one another's burdens, lifting them before the Creator who specialized in transformation. But even as they prayed, an undercurrent of anticipation stirred within David. There was something brewing beyond this moment, an uncharted territory where faith could become flesh and miracles could take form, where despair would bloom into hope. Suddenly, as silence enveloped them, a flickering light appeared. The candle flames danced wildly, as if responding to an unseen presence. He felt a shift in the very air, a gentle whisper brushing against the fringes of his consciousness. Are we ready to testify of his greatness, should the miracle come? The question lingered, unfolding like petals of a flower, revealing a deeper truth. Mara, visibly shaken, looked up with eyes widened in awe. What if the miracle is already among us? With hearts alerted and faith ignited, they stood on the brink, yearning for answers, ready for his wonder to manifest. What awaited them beyond this moment? Would the shadows yield to the light as they had prayed for? With that question stirring within each person, the warmth of expectancy settled around them, a divine invitation to witness what lay ahead on this sacred path of faith. The silence was thick, almost tangible, as the flickering flames continued their dance, casting warm patterns on the walls. David felt the collective breath of the villagers suspended in prayer, an echo of longing and hope that resonated through the sacred space. As Mara's question hung in the air, a stillness enveloped them, suggesting that the universe itself was attuned to their supplications. David tightened his grip on Sarah's hand, drawing strength from her steady presence. He could sense that something profound was unfolding, but uncertainty fluttered in the depths of his heart. Mara, he said, his voice steady, sometimes we need to look beyond what we see with our eyes. The miracle might not be loud or obvious, it can come as a simple whisper of grace. Eleanor nodded, her spirit vibrant in the dim light. Many times, the miracles begin within us. God meets us at our point of need, sometimes revealing strength in our weakness and light in our darkness. Sarah spoke next, her voice gentle yet clear. When we bring our burdens, we unearth the power of community. Each prayer, each breath we share here, lifts us closer to the heart of God. Mara's eyes softened, taking in their kindness. She swallowed hard, the flicker of hope warring against the shadows of her despair. I think I have lost sight of what it means to hope, she confessed, each syllable a releasing of her past. How can I rekindle that light? Hope is like a seed, David replied, feeling the weight of each word. It requires nourishment, sunlight, and time. We might plant it in sorrow, but with faith, the most beautiful blooms can rise from the darkest soil. With newfound determination, Mara straightened her back, mirroring the collective stance of the villagers. Then I will choose to believe, even when shadows cling tightly. But I need your help. I need you to carry some of this burden with me. The villagers nodded in unison, moved by her raw honesty. They formed a tighter circle, drawing in closer, the energy shifting from need to support. David could feel the warmth radiating from their joined hearts. Let us pray, not just for your burdens to lighten, but for the miracle of faith to envelop all of us, Eleanor encouraged them. May we all find the strength to rise above our struggles and embrace the light. As they prayed, words became melodies woven from hope and vulnerability. Each call echoed back and forth, curling into the atmosphere like a prayerful tapestry. Mara's eyes sparkled with unshed tears, absorbing the shared strength of the community around her. In that unified moment, the candle flames flickered more vigorously, illuminating their faces. David couldn't shake the feeling that something was beginning to stir. Suddenly, a small warmth, a gentle breeze flowed through the room, as if a breath of heaven had swept in. The villagers fell silent, but anticipation buzzed in the air. What if, David whispered, allowing the thought to flow freely, the miracle is a change in us, reshaping our hearts to trust, to believe. Yes. Sarah beamed, her voice alive with excitement. When we choose to accept the divine presence around us, miracles will unfold. Mara's countenance transformed, radiant joy beginning to bloom within her eyes. I believe I will see the beauty in my brokenness. Thank you for igniting this spark in me. As the last echoes of their prayers faded, the air shifted once more, this time alive with a potent energy as if the heavens themselves were leaning in close. What awaited them now, this charged moment stretching into the unknown? David took a deep breath, an unshakable knowing in his spirit something was on the brink of transformation, but what shape would that take? With hearts brimming with anticipation and faith ignited like a wildfire, they stood at the edge, ready for whatever miracle was destined to follow. The atmosphere was electric, yet wrapped in a tender embrace. The villagers remained encircled as if they were woven into a beautiful mosaic of faith. David noticed how Mara's initial despair had shifted, now alive with possibility. Light danced in her eyes, igniting a spark not just in her but in the hearts of those around her. As they gazed into one another's faces, the unspoken truth began to surface. Eleanor, with her kind gaze, broke the silence first. Sometimes, the greatest gift one can offer is simply to listen. In the whispers of our hearts, we can find truth and revelation. David nodded, feeling the wisdom of her words resonate deep within. It's true. In times of change, we often need to pause, listen closely, and hear what God is saying. The conversations we have with ourselves and with God hold the keys to our miracles. Mara's heart throbbed with this collective understanding. How do I learn to listen? She asked, a hint of vulnerability still lingering but softened by her newfound hope. Quiet your mind and still your heart, Sarah suggested, her voice soothing. In moments of silence, God speaks. It's where we can surrender our chaos and feel the gentle nudging of His Spirit guiding us forward. David recalled a lesson he had learned long ago. Remember Ecclesiastes 3? There is a time for everything, a season for every activity under the heavens. It reminds us that each moment holds its unique purpose. Oftentimes, the miracle is all about timing. Mara took a deep breath, soaking in their encouragement. So, it's about recognizing the seasons within our own lives. Embracing the waiting, the yearning, and the blooming. Yes. Eleanor exclaimed, her voice bursting with affirmation. And nurturing that understanding allows us to grow in faith, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Each moment spent is not wasted. Trust that even in waiting, God is orchestrating. With every heart that listened, they were beginning to realize that this was a collective journey, each villager entwined by divine relationships that transcended their individual struggles. The flickering flames unraveled tales of hope, a chorus of prayers lifting higher into the atmospheric realm. Then, unexpectedly, David gazed up and noticed a change in the lighting. A golden ray broke through the dim ambience of the room as if the heavens were applauding their surrender. Look! He exclaimed, pointing. The soft glow became brighter, illuminating their surroundings, bringing warmth that wrapped around them like a comforting quilt. The villagers gasped, their collective awe washing over the room like waves of grace. What does this mean? Mara breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. It means we are on the brink of something extraordinary. Sarah replied excitedly. It's as if the very heavens are responding to our heart's desire to connect deeply. With every passing moment, there was an undeniable shift. Something was brewing amidst the prayers, bindings of hope intertwining not just within Mara, but all gathered. They sensed the truth, a beautiful paradox that sometimes miracles are birthed through trials, through dark nights that eventually yield new dawns. David felt a surge of anticipation rise within as he spoke. What if this moment is just the beginning? What if a hidden door is about to open that reveals answers we never even knew we were searching for? The villagers shared glances, the air thick with expectancy, eyes shining bright and filled with faith. Let us remain open, ready for whatever God has planned, Eleanor said, her voice steady, a beacon of hope in the radiant room. As they soaked in the divine warmth, a whisper echoed in David's spirit, one that stirred a flame of trust in the core of his being. Could their faith genuinely attract the miraculous? What awaited them beyond this manifest glow? In what ways might they confront the essence of divine timing and prepare themselves for a moment of truth? The golden light enveloped the villagers like a delicate fog, infusing them with warmth that felt both inviting and invigorating. Mara took a step forward, her heart racing, feeling the palpable energy thickening the air around them. She could sense change, like the beginning of dawn heralding a new day after a long, dark night. Let us take a moment, David suggested, his voice calm yet vibrant. Let us close our eyes and simply breathe in this light. What is God saying to you? Instinctively, the group huddled closer, eyes fluttering shut. Silence settled over them, thick and nurturing. In the stillness, breaths transformed into whispers, prayers woven into the very fabric of that sacred moment. Each soul was searching, reaching out as if to touch the divine. Mara felt a flutter in her heart, a gentle encouragement pushing her forward. "Lord, what do you want me to know?" she whispered into the quiet. The answer didn't come in words but rather in feelings. It was a feeling of connection, like a thread binding her with everyone present. She felt it tug at her heart, weaving a tapestry of interdependence that celebrated both individual journeys and their collective spirit. "Trust your heart, Mara," came the tender echo of Sarah's voice, a soft reminder bundled with faith. "You are not alone, we are all together in this." Just then, a sigh of relief swept through the group as they slowly opened their eyes. The glow remained, shimmering with a sense of promise. The light seemed to dance in response to their shared epiphanies, illuminating unspoken revelations nestled in their souls. "I can almost see the dawn breaking," Mara murmured, glancing around as her heart raced with newfound hope. "It feels like pieces of a puzzle are starting to align." "Exactly," David replied, eyes gleaming as he grasped the significance of the moment. When the light shines, it often exposes hidden paths, and sometimes a hidden truth we need to embrace. It's our calling to unveil those mysteries. Do you think any of us has experienced such moments before? Eleanor pondered aloud, her brow furrowed slightly in thought. When we thought we were alone, yet realized we were being guided all along. Silence settled again, thick with reflection. Each villager became lost in their own memories, moments of despair interwoven with whispers of hope that had transformed their lives. "We often overlook those subtle nudges, right?" Sarah said softly, breaking the profound stillness. God's voice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the softest whisper in our hearts, nudging us to trust. Mara nodded fiercely. "It's like when I felt so lost before arriving here. I thought I was meant to wander aimlessly, but it led me here, to you all. To this moment." A wave of understanding washed over the group. This was indeed a convergence of divine timing. They were interconnected threads of a larger weave, ready to engage deeply not just with each other, but with the divine mystery unfolding before them. David's voice, steady and confident, arose again. "We must keep our eyes open. What signs might God be providing to us? What miracles could be waiting just on the verge of the horizon?" They all leaned closer in anticipation, hearts fluttering with expectation. "Let's continue to pray for revelation," Eleanor encouraged. "Together, we can stand united in faith, ready to step into new territories. Who knows what God might reveal next?" As they gathered their thoughts, minds buzzing with excitement, a fresh energy sparked in the air once more. A question hung gently, unspoken yet poignant. What divine revelation awaited them just beyond their prayerful hearts, waiting to unfold like the petals of a blooming flower? The air shimmered with a deep yearning, a collective spirit ready to embrace the gifts that awaited. As Mara looked around her, she noticed the blend of hope and wonder reflected in the faces of her companions. Each person was a bright flame flickering in the golden light, each heart pounding in rhythm as if echoing an unseen symphony. "Let us not only pray silently," David suggested, breaking the expectant silence. "Let us share what we feel God might be revealing to us, even if it seems small or uncertain." Mara glanced at Sarah, who smiled gently, her eyes sparkling with understanding. "I feel a deep urge to surrender my worries," Sarah spoke softly, her voice carrying a wisdom beyond her years. "It's as if the burdens I've been holding are not mine to carry alone. I sense God is inviting me to let go, to trust Him more fully." A murmur of agreement spread through the group, each person resonating with Sarah's sentiment. It was a moment of shared vulnerability, strengthening their bond in the most profound way. "I think I'm called to act," Eleanor chimed in, her voice steady with conviction. "I recognize now that inaction has quietly dictated parts of my life. There's been a fear of stepping forward, yet here we are, surrounded by encouragement. I need to embrace that fear and let it propel me into action, whatever that may look like." Mara's heart swelled as she heard them speak, knowing that these were not just thoughts but holy promptings. It felt as if each revelation was a stitch, intricately woven into a divine plan that was much larger than themselves. "I feel it too," she added, her voice rising with excitement. "God is calling us to move beyond our comfort zones, to trust that we are held in these times of uncertainty. Together, we can embrace whatever comes next." As each voice joined in the tapestry of sharing, the atmosphere grew electric. David encouraged everyone to reflect on the connections that would guide their steps. It's not just about the revelation, it's what we do with it. How do we bring our individual awakenings into the world? The group fell quiet again, this time with an intensity that made the air feel thicker still, like morning mist before the sun pierces through. Each villager closed their eyes once more, their faces serene. They were not just praying for guidance, they were inviting the divine to direct their paths. In that sacred stillness, Mara felt a wave of peace wash over her and knowledge that they were exactly where they were meant to be. "Lord, let us reflect your love. Give us the strength to act in faith," she whispered, feeling the warmth of the golden light invigorating her spirit. With their hearts aligned and their intentions pure, a gentle breeze began to swirl around them, rustling the leaves of nearby trees. It was a sign, a whisper of something greater, urging them to pay attention. David opened his eyes first, full of wonder. "Can you feel that?" he asked, glancing upward as if searching for something unseen. "It's like we're being surrounded by a divine presence." "I can," Sarah exclaimed, her voice glowing with excitement. "It's as though the Holy Spirit is moving among us, preparing our hearts for what comes next." Mara felt alive with anticipation. She understood that their journey had ventured beyond simple prayers, they were entering unexplored territory, a realm where their faith could expand and their purpose could unfold. But what awaited them beyond this moment of unity? What marvelous plans did God have set for this devoted group? Would they be ready to embrace the challenge and grace that was surely on the horizon? The hum of divine possibility danced in the air as their prayers echoed in an unending circle, leaving all hearts hanging on the edge of revelation. The breeze carried whispers of hope, threading through the leaves like sacred promises. Mara felt invigorated. She looked around and saw the light in her friends' eyes, each one shimmering with anticipation. The shared moment was not just about words spoken, it was about the divine forging connections that would alter the course of their lives. "What if we could see our challenges as gifts?" David proposed, words flowing like a gentle stream. "What if we approached God as a loving Father eager to guide us through every twist and turn?" The group absorbed his words, each heart dancing in a quiet agreement. Mara felt a warmth bloom in her chest. It was true, what they perceived as obstacles could very well be catalysts for growth and transformation. "I believe," she said, her voice a melodic invitation, "that our willingness to embrace the unknown can unlock doors we never imagined. Each struggle bears lessons waiting to be learned. Our trials can make us stronger." The moment hung in the air, suspended like the stillness before a storm. Sarah, eyes still closed, murmured, "Maybe our greatest breakthroughs come through persistent surrender. If we let God reshape our narratives, we would be trusting in His greater plan." A deep silence enveloped them. The weight of her words resonated like a bell tolling in the distance. Eleanor's expression brightened suddenly, as if struck by an epiphany. "I remember reading in Ecclesiastes that there is a time for everything. A season for every activity under heaven." Her voice faltered but then grew steady. "What if we're in a season of revelation? A time to awaken, to discover fresh purpose and renewed vision?" Mara observed the sunlight filtering through the trees, golden rays dancing whimsically in carefree delight. "This is more than just a meeting. We're discovering our divine timing. Each of us is like a note in a beautiful symphony, contributing to something far greater than ourselves." David nodded, excitement bubbling over like a fountain spring. "Let us invite those revelations into our lives. Each one of us has something unique to contribute based on our experiences. We can intertwine our stories, turning our testimonies into a powerful witness of God's faithfulness." As they sat together, Mara felt the heaviness of the world lifting. Their gathering became less about individual challenges and more about a shared mission. Each person poured out their heart, revealing vulnerabilities, dreams, and aspirations, weaving an intricate tapestry of stories. Someone spoke of loss, another of hope rekindled through hardship, and yet another shared seeds of joy that had sprouted from barren ground. Laughter mingled with tears, echoing the complexity of life, signaling that they were on a sacred expedition together. "Let us not hold back," Eleanor declared. "Let us be bold in our next steps. We owe it to ourselves, to one another, and more importantly, to God." As their spirits soared, Mara realized they were on the precipice of something incredible. Each pulse of faith was a heartbeat, synchronizing their purpose with the rhythm of the divine. What will this reveal? She wondered, gazing into the horizon where the sky kissed the land. That invisible thread connecting them began to shimmer even more brightly, a beacon of possibilities waiting just beyond the bend. But as thoughts of exhilarating adventures filled her mind, a question lingered: were they truly ready to embrace the unknown paths that awaited them? Would they have the courage to step boldly into the miracle that loomed just out of sight? With hearts ablaze and anticipation building, they felt the shift in the atmosphere once again. The horizon beckoned them forward, full of promise and enigmas, as a new chapter awaited the unveiling. What divine surprises lay in store for this band of seekers? Days turned into weeks, and the village of Elmwood, once weighed down by uncertainty, transformed into a haven of hope. The dawn's first rays kissed the village, brushing away remnants of despair and illuminating hearts that had chosen to trust in the unseen. Each day, David and Sarah, alongside Mara and the villagers, gathered in spirit and flesh, creating a bond stronger than blood woven together through prayers and experiences shared. The circle of friends held steadfast, praying not just for miracles to unfold but for understanding, resilience, and the ability to embrace their current season of life. Their stories intertwined like threads in a grand tapestry, each person contributing unique hues, some bright with joy, others darkened by trials, yet all threaded through a common theme, divine purpose. On one particularly radiant morning, as the sun streamed through the stained glass of the chapel, David felt moved to share an encouragement. What if we approached this life not just as a series of trials to endure but as opportunities to grow? Just like flowers rooted deep in soil, we must stretch toward the light, even through our darkest times. His words resonated in the hearts of all who listened. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the congregation, hearts alight with the truth that faith is often a choice, an active decision to believe despite adversity. "Remember Mara," Sarah suggested, her eyes shimmering. "She arrived seeking a miracle, but look at how far we've all come together." Her willingness to share her burdens opened the door for all of us to find strength. Mara smiled, each word supporting her renewed spirit. "It wasn't just me seeking a miracle," she replied, her voice radiating warmth. "We are all channels of what God desires. My struggles revealed your light, and in turn, your faith ignited my hope." This communal realization acted as a beacon. Each member became a living candle, their lights burning brighter together, illuminating the shadows that once felt overwhelming. David urged them to remember that sometimes, the miracle isn't the one outside of us, but the transformation within. As the wind rustled through the trees, an undeniable energy thrummed in the air. Perhaps this was the moment they had been waiting for. Perhaps their testimony was meant to spread beyond Elmwood, to reach others who wandered in darkness, seeking love, connection, and divine truth. One evening, as the stars began to twinkle overhead, David proposed a bold idea. "Let us take our faith and extend it outward. Organize a gathering where we can share not just our stories, but the love we've cultivated together. We will open our doors to anyone seeking hope and healing." Excitement ignited among the villagers. Eleanor quickly began sketching plans to host a community event, one filled with shared stories, prayer, and worship. Each person stepped forward, eager to help, bringing dishes, arranging chairs, sharing in the creation of something beautiful and sacred. The night of the gathering dawned bright with expectation, tables adorned with flowers, prayers hanging in the air like evening dew. The chapel buzzed with a delightful energy, and flickering candles lit the space, casting an inviting glow that beckoned hearts. As the villagers filled the chairs, sharing heartfelt laughter and connections, David felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The present moment felt like the culmination of so many journeys, each person representing their own season yet uniting as one. During the event, David took to the center. "Beloved friends," he began, his voice filled with vulnerability. "We have traversed through darkness and emerged with rays of hope. Tonight, we share not just words, but the very essence of God's light that has transformed our hearts. May this be an invitation for you to experience not only our love but the unyielding love of God." Mara added, "In gathering tonight, we express that healing still exists. No one journeys alone when love binds us. We are living testimonies of the miracles we have witnessed as a community." The evening unfolded like a blossoming flower. Voices joined in harmonious chorus, laughter mingled with anticipation, stories flowed like a sacred river. Hearts opened wide, each story shared was a testament, illuminating the spirit of survival and love that intertwined their lives. By night's end, the flame of hope flickered brightly not just in the hearts present, but in the very fabric of Elmwood itself. They were bonded by faith, rising like watercolors on a canvas, prepared to paint their story into the wider world, inviting those who sought divine intervention into their embrace. As the final prayers were offered, David raised his hands, an invitation to the heavens. "Lord, let our light shine brightly. May our struggles and triumphs weave into a narrative that calls others home." And just then, a sudden breeze whispered through the open windows, rustling the candlelight and coaxing a collective gasp from the crowd. With that ethereal touch, a wave of peace washed over them, as if heaven itself breathed upon the gathering. In that moment, they understood they had already witnessed the miracle of community and faith. They had transformed their struggles into testimonies of hope, and their hearts had been irrevocably changed. This, indeed, was the beginning of a new chapter not just for them, but for any wandering soul that could benefit from faith ignited. And as every heart hungered for renewal, they truly believed miracles were meant to unfold. They were simply waiting for the right season to blossom. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and ensure others can discover this powerful message. Comment your reactions and testimonies about the ending. Share how your own faith has been transformed. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of hope and love. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Thank you for being part of our faithful community.